Chosen one, the long season of constant survival is finished, not because every circumstance has suddenly become easy, not because every unanswered question has been resolved overnight, but because the version of your life that required you to keep striving, proving, explaining, and enduring is steadily losing its grip. The struggle that once felt like the only language you knew is no longer the only story available to you. Something deeper has shifted. If you will slow down long enough to listen, you will sense it. You have carried more than most people realized. You encouraged others while your own strength felt fragile. You smiled through private questions that followed you into the night. You kept moving when the silence after prayer seemed louder than any reply. You wondered more than once whether anything was truly changing beneath the surface, and still you continued. That quiet persistence is not insignificant. It is evidence that something stronger than exhaustion has been at work within you all along. Endings do not always announce themselves with drama. Sometimes they arrive as a subtle change in what no longer holds power over you. A fear that once dictated your decisions begins to sound distant and unfamiliar. A habit that once felt necessary loses its pull. A person who once controlled your emotional atmosphere no longer occupies the same space in your thoughts. A place that once felt safe starts to feel too small. A temptation that used to draw you, it no longer carries the same attraction. You notice the difference and realize something important. A part of me has already decided it will not live this way any longer. That is often where genuine endings begin, not with the sudden disappearance of every external pressure, but with the internal authority of the old patterns finally breaking. The old insecurity, the old hunger for constant approval, the old belief that your worth must be earned through endless effort, the old tendency to abandon your own needs so others remain comfortable, the old reflex of settling for less than what God has for you. If those things are losing their hold, do not mourn them as if something essential is dying. Thank God for the lessons they carried and keep walking forward. You cannot construct a new chapter while continually reopening the pages of the previous one. There comes a moment when the central question changes. You stop asking why the door closed and begin asking what the closed door made space for. That relationship ending created room for deeper healing you could not have received while still entangled. That opportunity vanishing redirected your attention towards something more aligned with who you are becoming. That rejection exposed a resilience and strength you did not know you possessed. That extended waiting season taught you a patience the fast path never could. That lonely stretch taught you how to hear your own thoughts and the still small voice again. That disappointment sharpened your discernment so you would recognize healthier paths later. The pain was real. The lesson can still become valuable if you allow it. Do not confuse an ending with a punishment. Some endings are protection, some are redirection, some are simply the natural close of a season that has completed its purpose under heaven. Scripture reminds us there is a time for every matter, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to begin and a time to conclude. Wisdom is learning to recognize which season you are actually standing in. Too often we plead with God to revive what He is teaching us to release. We return again and again to the same closed door because the hallway beyond it feels uncertain and unfamiliar. But what if you trusted Him enough to let the old chapter remain closed? What if you stopped trying to resurrect what was never designed to continue into this next season? Your future does not require permission from your past. Let that settle in your spirit. Your future does not need the old version of you to approve it or give it clearance. You are allowed to grow. You are allowed to change the way you think and respond. You are allowed to develop healthier boundaries. You are allowed to pursue relationships that build rather than drain. You are allowed to become more disciplined in the areas that matter. You are allowed to outgrow environments, conversations, and patterns that no longer help you flourish. And you do not owe anyone an apology for becoming healthier and more aligned with the person God is forming you to be. Be wise, however. Not every uncomfortable feeling is a divine signal to leave. Not every closed door is supernatural. Not every coincidence is a sign from heaven. Bring the matter honestly before God in prayer. Open the scriptures and let them speak. Seek trustworthy counsel from people who walk with integrity. Examine the fruit of the situation carefully. Then make responsible decisions. Faith and wisdom are not enemies. They are meant to walk side by side. One without the other can lead you into either passivity or impulsiveness. You may be standing right now in the middle of an important transition. The old no longer fits comfortably, yet the new is not fully visible. That in-between space can feel empty, as if nothing significant is happening. Do not underestimate it. A seed looks completely inactive before it breaks through the soil. A foundation remains invisible before the structure begins to rise. Preparation often takes place long before any result appears to the watching eye. If your life feels unusually quiet or slow, do not assume you have been forgotten or overlooked. You may be being prepared to move differently, not necessarily faster, but with greater wisdom, deeper patience, stronger discipline, clearer peace, and sharper spiritual clarity. Consider the cycle you have been trying to escape for a long time. Perhaps it is the constant need to prove yourself to people who may never fully see you. Perhaps it is overthinking every decision until peace is lost. Perhaps it is chasing validation that never quite satisfies. Perhaps it is saying yes when your spirit knows the answer should be no. Perhaps it is allowing other people's opinions to set the temperature of your confidence. Perhaps it is starting things with enthusiasm and abandoning them the moment the initial excitement fades. Whatever the specific pattern is, this is the opportunity to stop repeating it. A new season does not automatically create a new life. New choices do. If you continue responding to life exactly as you always have, the scenery can change while the underlying pattern remains the same. But when you deliberately change your response, your future begins to shift with it. If these words are settling into your spirit, type Amen in the comments. Let it be a simple, honest agreement that the old cycle is losing its authority over you. It's all over can mean it is finished with constantly doubting your own value. It is finished with begging people to recognize what God has already placed in you. It is finished with sacrificing your peace just to keep everyone else comfortable. It is finished with letting one mistake or one difficult season define your entire identity. It is finished with believing your worst day represents the whole of your story. It is finished with treating a waiting season as proof that God has abandoned or forgotten you. That chapter can close. Something new is allowed to begin. Yet, when an old chapter closes, you carry a responsibility. You must refuse to import its language, its fears, and its survival strategies into the new one. If the previous season taught you fear, do not construct the next chapter around fear as its foundation. If it taught you distrust, do not punish every new person for what someone else once did. If it taught you failure, do not refuse every fresh opportunity because you are afraid of repeating the past. Learn the lesson thoroughly without becoming imprisoned by it. That is true healing. That is maturity. That is the kind of growth that lasts. God is not necessarily asking you to erase or forget your past. He is asking you to stop living inside it as if it still holds the final word. You can remember without returning to the same patterns. You can forgive without reconnecting in the same unhealthy ways. You can love someone without giving them unlimited access to your peace. You can appreciate a previous season without trying to force it to continue. You can honor what was without allowing it to control what is still ahead. That is freedom, and freedom does not always arrive with loud emotion or dramatic moments. Sometimes it arrives as quiet, steady peace. You realize you did not react the way you used to. You did not chase after someone or something that was not meant for you. You did not over-explain yourself. You went to sleep without replaying the difficult conversation for the 10th time. You discovered you can finally say, with sincerity, I do not need to control this anymore. That realization is a powerful marker of growth. Your next chapter may require you to become quieter about what you are building, not secretive out of fear or shame, but selective out of wisdom and protection. You do not have to announce every plan or intention. You do not have to justify every decision to people who are not walking the same path. You do not have to convince everyone that your growth is legitimate. Let your consistency speak over time. Let your character speak through daily choices. Let the fruit of your life speak more loudly than any announcement. And most importantly, let your ordinary decisions reflect what you say you believe. Sometimes the strongest declaration is not what you type or post. It is what you repeatedly do when no one is watching or applauding. Pause here and ask yourself one honest question. What am I finally ready to release? Do not rush or force the answer. It may be a lingering fear that has shaped too many of your decisions. It may be the habit of comparison that steals your joy. It may be an unhealthy pattern or relationship dynamic. It may be an old identity that no longer fits who you are becoming. It may be the exhausting need to be understood and approved by everyone. It may be the quiet belief that you are running out of time, or that your window has somehow closed. Whatever rises in your awareness, bring it honestly to God. You do not have to overhaul your entire life in a single night. Start with one release, one clear decision, one faithful step in a better direction. Then tomorrow, take another. Transformation is rarely one dramatic breakthrough. More often it is 1,000 quiet, consistent decisions that eventually produce a completely different way of living. If that invitation resonates with you, comment 777. Let it mark your willingness to release what no longer belongs in this next season. It's all over does not mean the fearful ending you once imagined. It means the end of the chapter where you believed you had to remain the same person. It means the end of the season where your past held more authority than your future. It means the end of the cycle where you abandoned yourself in order to keep others comfortable. It means the end of believing that your mistakes permanently disqualify you from meaningful growth and purpose. And if you are willing to cooperate with what God is doing, something new is permitted to begin. The prophet declared that God is doing a new thing. Notice the direction of that promise. It does not invite you to remain forever inside the old thing, rehearsing its pain or trying to force it back to life. It points forward, so look forward, not recklessly, not blindly, not with naive optimism, but faithfully and with wisdom. Your next chapter does not need to be perfect or impressive from the start. It needs to be honest, it needs to be purposeful, it needs to be grounded in wisdom rather than driven by fear, and it needs to begin with the choices you make in the ordinary moments of today. Support this community by liking this message and subscribing if these words encourage you. Your engagement helps more people who are standing at similar thresholds receive the same hope and clarity. Perhaps the very thing you have been calling a loss will become the space where something healthier and more lasting grows. Breathe, release what you can no longer carry with integrity, Learn carefully from what happened without letting it define you forever. Pray for wisdom and discernment. Take the next faithful step that is in front of you, and stop knocking on a door simply because you are afraid of the hallway that lies beyond it. The chapter is closing. Turn the page with intention. What comes next deserves your full attention, your honesty and your trust. And this time, do not miss what God is making available. If you are ready to close the cycle and move forward, comment 1111 as a personal declaration that the old chapter is finished, not as a prediction of instant results, not as a guarantee that nothing will ever be difficult again, but as a clear reminder that you are choosing not to remain trapped by yesterday. If someone specific came to mind while you listened, share this message with them. They may be standing at the end of a chapter as well, needing the same permission to release and begin again. Chosen one, do not fear the ending that is unfolding. Some endings are answers to prayers you prayed long ago. Some are protection from paths that would have limited you. Some are quiet invitations to begin again with clearer eyes and a steadier heart. The struggle that once felt endless is losing its claim on your identity and your future. Walk forward with open hands. The same God who closed the previous season is the one preparing what comes next. Trust him enough to let the old remain closed. The page is turning. Pay attention. The new thing is already beginning to form.